Now, I think Kansas City is going to try and run the ball also to start the game. I see off the bat San Francisco having more success doing that with McCaffrey on this Kansas City defense. So I think that will lead to a more successful opening 30 minutes for the Niners than it will for the Chiefs.
Opening 15 minutes.
For opening first quarter, possibly, right? So the double result I'm leaning towards is San Francisco to be ahead at the end of the first half.
Sure.
San Francisco more successful early. I think McCaffrey has a big first half. Maybe takes a little bit for Kansas City to settle into the game. Maybe Kansas City doesn't break the dam immediately with the run game. You would think Steve Wilks, Niners defensive coordinator, has really, and I give him credit, has been putting his players on blast. For the embarrassing effort in the NFC Championship game against the Detroit Lions. My thought is, at least at the start, you'll see a really good effort from San Francisco, running to the ball to try and take down Pacheco, who's obviously a really aggressive runner. So I think San Francisco early in the game, and then once we get to the second half, if Kansas City's behind, now it's Mahomes' time against the Steve Wilks defense, and that's when I expect the dam to break and Pacheco to have more success. So I think the double that I'm looking at right now, Ken, is actually the opposite of what a lot of people will be talking about, which would be KC early, San Francisco late. I think I want to flip that sumbitch around and go San Francisco early, Kansas City late. So Niners winning at the end of the first half, Kansas City to win the game. With Mahomes wins it at the very end.
If that happens, Mahomes wins MVP probably, right? He leads the drive at the end of the game. They win the game. Depends on who the touchdown goes to.
Unless Pacheco scores a couple. And I think this is going to be...
Or Kelsey catches the winning touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I just think all right, Kyle Shanahan's been around. I told this story about earlier in the offseason. And I think even on the Play Callers podcast that Jordan Rodriguez from The Athletic did, he talked about this too. This idea that we're going to run against every kind of defensive look. They could put 11 in the box and we're going to run the ball because I don't want a defense to tell me what I can and can't do. I'm going to call. Now there's a part of you that's that's really hard-headed.
The John Locke of offensive play callers.
Yeah. So there's a part that's if they put every guy at the line of scrimmage, you're still going to run it. But what he speaks to is just he's going to call his game because he thinks he has really good ideas about what his team can do and what the defense is bad at. He doesn't want the defense to get him out of that. Doesn't want that to happen. So I think they're trying to run the ball a ton in the game and obviously use that to set up play action, which they always do. Kansas City, Kelsey will be a part of the game plan, obviously. Doesn't it just kind of benefit them with how Detroit attacked San Francisco and how they've been look at the packages they've been running recently. They're going to go into the game heavy and trying to run. Okay, so here's a lot of chunk ground gains. Here's a lot of clock running, and then it just comes down to red zone efficiency. And this is again where I think the Chiefs could be bend but don't break in the game, and I think the Niners could be.
They'd sign up for that in a second,
right?
By the way,
and I think the Niners can be gotten there, but the Chiefs have had a lot of issues in the red zone, especially in the regular season. It strikes me as a big yardage game, especially on the ground. And I would have a lot of questions about red zone for both teams.
So let me ask you a question, and then we can talk more about bets on the side, bets on the total. Do you feel like the best option to bet this game would be to bet, to do my best Bill O'Reilly impersonation, to bet it live? And maybe early.
Killing Mahomes. That's the new book.
Right. To bet it live as opposed to bet it pregame, with the thought being San Francisco is going to try to run it. If San Francisco can run the ball effectively in the game, I think they're pretty likely to win the game. So is it watch a couple of drives? If San Francisco is running all over them, live bet San Francisco. And if they're not, live bet Kansas City.
I mean, you would have loved Buffalo live in that divisional game if that was the case.
Well, if you had to bet the double result of the Super Bowl, what would it be?
My initial... And it's not because I'm changing it. My first thought was close game. Chiefs build a lead to some extent. Purdy has the ball at the end, the last two playoff games. And maybe even if they don't play well, they win. I don't know if I have a reason to deviate from that right now. It's a lukewarm opinion. Probably. So if it plays out that way, that's Chiefs early, Niners late, if that plays out that way. And to be fair, we've talked about the Chiefs angle of the double result a lot, how they like to play, the types of games they tend to play in. The Niners kind of have their own kind of historical trends going too, in terms of how they play points in the second half. Purdy in the fourth quarter of these games has been really good. Purdy in the first halves has not been very good. So there's a really strong case for both sides, even in terms of I don't know if I'm going to play the double result was the banger last year. I didn't even like the game and I liked the double result. It just made a lot of sense. Both teams kind of don't lend themselves to the Chiefs don't allow points in the second half, and it's all the Niners do in the second half of score points. So something about that will give. It's not an easy, the teams don't fit together in a good way for the double result, I feel like.
Anything else on the game before we do the prop sheet?
I'm trying to think about a Super Bowl MVP of everybody that came on.
A lot of like Pacheco
a
Kelsey,
lot.
Debo.
Yeah, Whale was really big on Purdy.
Yeah,
which
makes sense.
I don't say this because like it's content. It's the easiest case to make because it's really logical. They're a favorite in the game. He's the quarterback of the team. He was like the number one quarterback in the regular season. He's plus 220. Like that's an easy. Even if you hate the Niners in the game, that's an easy case to make. So like to me, that makes the most logical sense. But maybe this is one of the more fun MVP markets to bet into in a while too. Honestly, normally everybody tries to be bucket of cold water. Quarterbacks, like it's all that's what it is. But you got Mahomes who's won twice already, and Purdy who is even as like a Purdy supporter to win MVP, vulnerable for sure for somebody else to win on his own team. Maybe it's a more fun MVP market than we usually have. We should probably talk about sports at some point. That might be a really good idea.
Like, who cares about his
bio?
But
back in 2020, when you and I had this talk, what do you like in the game?
I like Kansas City. And this was one that, like, I was watching the AFC title game, and I laid 3 with Baltimore, and I just said, you know what? I'm not betting against Mahomes again. And it's sometimes, I hate to put it like that simple because it's a football game. There's all sorts of things.
Would have worked a lot so far, to be fair.
But it would have worked a lot. And I laid 4 with Kansas City against Miami. I went and bet Buffalo against the Chiefs a couple weeks ago, bet Baltimore. And now I'm just saying, you know what? This is the sleep at night special. I can sleep at night knowing that I bet Patrick Mahomes. So I'm going down with Patrick Mahomes. I think I'm getting the better coach, the better quarterback, the better defense.
Theme here.
You know, it's, hey.
I mean, there's no
plus money on it with
the counter
Kansas City.
argument, you know?
It's
right?
plus money with the best quarterback in the league. So that's how I'm going down. If the Niners win, I get why they're the favorite, and they should be. If you look at the season-long stuff, they were the better team over the course of 18 weeks. But over the last 3 to 4 weeks, I think if you just watch the last 3 or 4 weeks, a lot of people would say Kansas City should probably be favored based on how the Niners have been playing so far. So I'm going down with the Chiefs, ride or die with Mahomes.
I've seen a lot of Pat Mahomes Super Bowls. I've seen a lot of Pat Mahomes playoff games. 99% of the time, I'm just like, keep it simple, stupid. Pat Mahomes is he's the greatest of this generation. Like, don't overthink it. I've been overthinking this one big time because you look at every kind of talent matchup between the two teams, and you check the box Niners. And they're under a field goal, so you basically have a little bit of latitude. My fair on this one would be 3. So there's some edge there.
So you think a fair price is Niners is a 3-point favorite? Is a fair price,
favorite,
but like Kansas City would get obliterated though, right? Like that wouldn't last.
They opened.
Well, it did.
To be fair. Yeah, right.
That happened.
There were
So
people
basically, what
doing
you're
the obliterating.
what you're saying is you like San Francisco in the game.
I like San Francisco in the game, and honestly, like I'm starting to talk myself into there is scope for San Francisco winning by margin. Right, like because you look at what do we know about these teams, and like in the immediate afterglow of the AFC NFC Championship games, it was like, yep, don't overthink it. Pat Mahomes at a dog price, like this isn't that hard. And then you kind of reflect on the Niners defense and how poor they were against the Lions, and it was like, whoa, boy, like I didn't know they were that bad. But then, on rewatch and as you kind of like sit on it and think about it a little bit, you realize like, okay, actually, like we got to give the Lions some credit. Like that offensive unit was very, very sharp that day. They won their battles in the trenches. Obviously, like they came to play. They were physical. They had an incredibly talented offense. The Chiefs really don't have that. Like the Chiefs offense has been pretty lousy all year. Pat Mahomes has been elevating them to the degree where they're here at the Super Bowl. Obviously, Travis Kelce certainly kind of got healthy at the right time, or got hot at the right time, or who knows what happened. But outside of Kelce and Mahomes, like anything about what the Chiefs are doing offensively scare you at all? Not really.
All I'm saying is it is certainly possible that Jalen Brunson, who's playing 37 minutes a game, taking every shot.
Okay, but all I'm saying is this: Knicks versus Sixers, no Embiid, who wins?
I would. If you made me pick, I would pick the Knicks.
Okay,
but it is not 90-10 the way that you're presenting.
Would who has home court answer the question for you? Is that how close it is?
We'll give you. You can have home court. You can have home court.
Then I think it's a coin flip.
I think that's really close.
I think that's a coin flip.
We have the best player in the series.
No. Okay.
I mean, barely, debatably. That much better than Tyrese Maxey?
The Sixers have home court and by 50 times the better coach in the series.
That is true.
Yeah.
That would be a little concerning.
That is true.
And you're going to have to play Julius Randle.
I got to tell you, I'm being serious. It really makes me angry that like Knicks fans can't have anything. We've been bad for. I get it.
I'm just handicapping the series.
No, I know. You're right. I get it with like Yankee fans. I understand that because we were really obnoxious, and I am one, and I get it.
You're
like,
also
Knicks fans,
that.
But like, we've sucked forever, man.
Yeah.
Like we can't enjoy like now that we're really good.
Well, you know what it is? You don't think you're a little chest beady. It's not like
yes, because we've been beaten down for so long.
I know Nick. He's quite chest beat.
But
that's the reason.
But this isn't you guys hugging each other and being happy. This is you guys telling everybody that you're better than them, but you don't want to be but you don't think they can win the title. And
Like,
you don't
we're
really
better
think
than
they
you,
can,
but also we're the underdog
Yes.
at the same time.
Yeah,
You're
you
trying to
gotta,
play both
Say,
sides.
have you ever been to New York or?
yeah. Well, I can't.
We're delusional.
I have.
You
I
should
have
work there at some point.
I have worked next to New York fans for 3 years now. I've dealt with every Yankee thing, funny, whatever, Met thing, Jet thing, Giant thing. The Knicks fans, there's something about them. I want to strangle every single one of them.